Hi, how are you? Hello. Oh my God, my hair is a hot mess. I'm tired and freezing. The media room doesn't get the heat in here, and so yeah, we're in the middle of winter, and it's just these freaking clothes. I'm Hot Toddy. Welcome to an all-new episode of Get Real. It's a very special episode of Get Real, so special that Miss Pingrino isn't here. More on that in a second. But no, this is an annual episode of Get Real where we take a look at the movies that we saw, but we did not review on an episode of Get Real. And the reason why Miss Pingrino is not here is because in part one of the annual two-part episode that this is, the first two movies I'm going to talk about, she didn't see. I saw them on my own. Every movie that she saw, with the exception of one, we reviewed on Get Real this year. But I saw two that we did not talk about. And so in part one, it's going to be just me. But in part two, she's going to join us to talk about the next movie that we'll be talking about. Because I'm going to talk about two here. And then there's one more. And we'll talk about the last film that we saw together that we did not review. So let's get right into it. Like I said, I am freezing. I'm tired. I was running out of hair gel, and so my hair is a hot mess, and I'm constipated.
Wow. I hate it.
So let's get right into the first film, shall we? The first movie that I saw that we did not review on Get Real was Gladiator 2. That's right. This was a big movie, and it was also a big risk. Of course, Ridley Scott did direct the second one, just like he did the first one. And it makes you wonder. I was very curious as to why there was going to be a second Gladiator movie, because Gladiator was just one of those movies where you didn't really need a sequel. You know, it was perfect the way it was the first time. So why do a second one? But I guess you could also say, why do a second Godfather? Why continue on with franchises that would have been just fine with just one film? I guess, that's the story of our lives when it comes to films, especially these days. Because Hollywood is just looking to cash in on any beloved franchise, any beloved name of a movie, whether they reboot it or do a sequel. And it would seem silly to reboot, I would feel like, to reboot Gladiator when it only came out 24 years ago. So why not a sequel? And getting to the sequel here, it was actually pretty good. I saw the first one. I've only seen the first one like twice. I saw it once on TV at home, and weirdly enough, we watched it in school. Why we watched it in school, I'm not exactly, I think we were learning something. Yeah.
You sure about that?
But I don't really remember what it was we were learning, and but we watched it in school, and it's a hardcore movie. That first one is very hardcore, and the second one is also very hardcore. I guess you could call it a soft reboot, because it is a direct sequel to Gladiator. It continues on with the, spoiler alert, the story of the son of Russell Crowe's character. By the way, I have no idea of the names of any of those characters, so I'm literally just saying the actors' names and going with it. So Russell Crowe's character from the first film, his son is but not really his son, but his son in the storyline of the story continues with his son. Now his son, and the reason why you call it a soft reboot is because it is a continuing story, but it's basically like a remake of the first film, and that's technically what it is. This guy has a family. His family is killed, and then he's kind of thrown into the arms of Rome, the capital, and so at that point it is he does their bidding, and he's always a good fighter, so now he's going to be a gladiator, and then it goes from there. And so yeah, he has brutal fights in the gladiator arena. So I mean, it technically is just a rehashing of the first film, but with just the same characters just enough to get it by as a sequel. And like I said, it was pretty good. I barely remember the first one. I do remember that it was good as well. Obviously, it told a really interesting story, and this told an interesting story too. And having gone back, because I didn't rewatch the first one during all of this, but I did kind of go back and get the highlights from the first one, and I kind of like this story a little bit better than the first one. I feel like it kind of expands on the whole storyline behind Russell Crowe's character, and of course this new character that comes in, and I just feel like that it really did the movie and the story itself justice. It was really interesting to see how they played it out. And then Denzel Washington played an incredible villain. Denzel, he's a very intimidating guy, and most of the time he's the good guy. But you take movies like Training Day and Gladiator 2, and you see the range of his acting abilities, and that's what made it really good. Obviously, the CGI in the movie has improved a lot since the first movie. The first movie, there's some embarrassing CGI, but you also got to remember this was 24 years ago when CGI was just getting perfected. It really started to kick off with Jurassic Park, and then, as the years went on, it got better and better. Keep in mind, Gladiator came out 7 years after Jurassic Park, so there was still some building up to do to the CGI. I always think back to that first one, the bad tiger swipe at Russell Crowe, and it was so clearly fake, it was painful. But in this movie, obviously, they cleaned it up a lot better. There was, however, the one scene in the movie that I kind of openly laughed at. They were battling these almost like zombified baboons. They were I don't think they were like mangy or like rabies infested or anything like that, but they were just monstrous baboons, and I found that scene kind of funny, because I was like, really? I thought we learned our lesson from the first film, and then you come in with this, and that part kind of made me laugh. But other than that, it was pretty good. The fight scenes were a lot more realistic looking than they were before, and I loved the cast. Pedro Pascal, playing the new. His character is interesting because he is the one that initially kills. You gotta give me a minute. I gotta look these names up.
A few moments later.
Okay, this was also very difficult because the lead actor in the movie is Paul Mescal, and then another actor in the movie is Pedro Pascal. So it kind of got a little confusing for me. I got through it. It's fine. But Paul Mescal plays Lucius Aurelius. Let's just say Lucius, and he turns out to be the son of Russell Crowe's character from the first film, Marcus Aurelius. Aurelius, that's what it is. Okay, Lucius Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius was his dad.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Pedro Pascal's character kills Lucius's wife at the beginning of the movie, but you kind of, as the movie unfolds, you realize that he was just kind of following orders, and it turns out that he really wasn't the bad guy, and you find out who the bad guy is as the movie continues. Spoiler alert, it's Denzel Washington's character. You're not real sure, and that's another thing, it really worked well as like a mystery movie, because you really didn't know who the villain was of the film until the very end of the film, and then you realized who it was, because Denzel Washington's character kind of keeps you guessing throughout the whole thing, and so that was another thing that made it really interesting. But overall, I thought the movie was really good. I wouldn't call it great. It's definitely not going to be the Academy Award-winning, masterpiece that Gladiator was 24 years ago, but it was a solid sequel, I feel like, to a movie that didn't necessarily needed to be a franchise, but they did it anyway, and at the end of the day, it was well done. I have no real qualms with it, and like I said, the cinematography is beautiful, the acting is great. Paul Mescal, I'd never seen him in anything before, and I really liked him in this movie. Pedro Pascal, obviously good in everything he's in, so is Denzel. And and then there was the one actress. I gotta get my trusty phone again.
3 weeks later.
Connie Nielsen. She plays Lucilia, who was the former lover of Russell Crowe's character Marcus in the first film. Hence why Lucius becomes Lucius is her son, so is Marcus. You see how but yeah, Gladiator 2, I would highly recommend. I'm sure it'll probably be out. It might already be out on digital at this point, but Blu-ray as well. Whatever you want to do, I highly recommend going to see it. It's a good film, good movie, good groceries. I'm not eating. The next film I watched was a movie I watched at my parents' house over Christmas. I come home for Christmas. Okay, right, a few days before Christmas. We spent a few days together. And my first thought was, let's watch some Christmas movies. They said no. Let's watch this movie.
You've all been chosen to spend your Christmas Eve here with 200,000 impatient travelers.
Is this because I'm Muslim? Is this because I'm black?
Is this because I'm white?
Airports turn people into such dickheads.
Carry On, a Netflix film, action-adventure movie, well, more like an action thriller movie, starring Taron Egerton and Jason Bateman. Jason Bateman playing the villain again. You know, Jason Bateman, and I want to get into this right off the bat. Jason Bateman is one of those actors that can play different roles really well. I always harken back to the late, great Robin Williams, who could play any kind of role. He could play comedic role, dramatic role, and he even showed us that he could play horror roles. He could be scary. And Jason Bateman has proven that he can do that too. He's the same type of versatile actor. And so I really like Jason Bateman in this movie. What's about is Taron Egerton he works for the TSA at the airport, and he, by happenstance, gets mixed up with this crazy goings-on. A guy is trying to get this drug on the plane, on the airline, and Jason Bateman is the one that gives the instructions. And so they hide, like, you know, talking devices, hearing devices, and things, and Taron Egerton has to put it on and do everything that he says and stuff like that. Obviously, in movies like this, the lead character is not going to always do what the bad guy says, and so some bad things happen throughout the film. And, you know, for a straight to Netflix action thriller, it was fine. You know, it was an interesting film. It's nothing new. The wheel has not been reinvented with this movie, but it was fun. It was an interesting idea, and you know, I do like Taron Egerton a lot. I like Jason Bateman a lot, and I like the story idea because I like that a movie was made about the TSA, because, you know, TSA, they are annoying. If you work for the TSA, you are annoying, but you're just doing your job. It's not like this is something that you're wanting to do. This is something you have to do, and it's of great importance because of what's happened, you know, in the last 20 years or so when it comes to air travel. So it's interesting to see a movie where they're tested and see if they could handle a situation like this. And it's a very intense movie. It definitely keeps you on the edge of your seat. But like I said, it's not one to write home about. You're not gonna miss anything if you don't see it, but you're not gonna walk away with your life being changed if you do see it. You know, I enjoyed it for what it was. It's a good thriller. And I enjoy the actors in the movie, and so it definitely held my interest. It's definitely a fun movie to watch over Christmas, but again, why over Christmas? I begged my parents. I wanted to watch Christmas movies. They made me watch a thriller. Not that it was a bad thing, I'm just saying. I'm putting it out there.
Oh, but baby.
It is what it is, and it's an action movie. It's just an interesting action movie, and you know, Jason Bateman playing the bad guy, and I want to get back to that because I don't think I've spoken of that enough. Jason Bateman is such a good versatile actor. Martin Short's another one that I think of when it comes to being able to do all roles, because he can do comedic, he can do dramatic, and he was on one of the Law and Order shows, and he was like this creep, and he was very creepy.
Your daughter is such a hot piece of ass. Best sex I ever had. She's a screamer. Did you know that? Made me crazy.
But was he any creepier than he was as Jack Frost in... No. That's over. we're done. We're done with that. It's all done. But Jason Bateman, I always enjoy his work. Anything he's always good in what he's in, and Taron Egerton. You know, I haven't seen him in a little bit. I think the last movie I saw him in was Rocket Man, the Elton John movie, and of course he's in the Kingsman movies, and he's always good in that. He works well in like action adventure movies, like the Kingsman movies and this one. So he definitely, that's kind of his milieu. That's kind of where he works best, is in movies like that. So, you know, again, it's not the greatest crime film you're ever going to see, but it's a solid watch. So, you know, if you're interested, well, I'm not going to say highly recommend it. If you would like, you know, an interesting kind of fun action movie to watch, I would say go over to Netflix and take a look at Carry On. I would watch it. It's not, you know, it's not a bad film by any stretch of the imagination. I think it was a solid film. Definitely not one of my favorites of the year, but it's like I said, if you're looking for something that's will fill the evening, I guess is the best way to describe it. If you're looking for a movie night movie and you're looking for an action thriller, I think this is the one to watch. You know, it's pretty good. So it's not a huge recommendation, but I would recommend Carry On because I feel like it is one of those kind of, you know, interesting action movies. It's kind of cheesy. It's kind of ridiculous in what happens. Obviously, there's a lot of things that happen in the movie that probably wouldn't happen in real life, but it's still interesting enough that I would definitely give it a chance and at least watch it. And I think you would enjoy it. I think it's, at the very least, worth the watch. So, not a huge recommendation, but check out Carry On if you got Netflix or if you're just curious about the film. Check it out. Blah, 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 blah. And that's it. That's my portion of what. So what did we miss in 2024? Did I even say the name of this annual episode? I don't think I did. That's what we call it, of course. So what did we miss in 2024? And those were the two movies that I missed. Now, Miss Pingrino and I did watch one other film together that we did not review, and we will get to that in just a bit. I gotta rearrange everything here so that we can get her in the shot, and yeah, I gotta get everything. Well, I guess we can move the chair over here like this. Oh, knock my water over. That's fine. Okay, so there we go. That's fine. That's good. There we go. Okay. Let's see if I get it. This is good.